Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. For those listening who didn't know it, those listening later, perhaps, who didn't hear it, Adiranda has spoken about your birthright. We have said this before in different words. We said it is your lineage. Indeed, your birthright and your lineage is that with free choice, with you cognizing more truth every day, you start to grasp a hold of what you've always had. A maturity of consciousness that starts to lift you out of the fear, the anxiety, of the hurt, of the worry that is so prevalent at the moment that this particular channeling is being given. I am so aware of who listens, and how many actually are there. Every one of you, dear ones, is known by God, all of you. Your names are known, your past lives are known. How would it make you feel to know that the purpose of Earth and you, an alliance, is known, and that it lays there ready for you to say yes? Imagine that there is something larger that you're to do here. And to some it frightens them and say, well, I've got enough now and I'm worried about this and that. Don't confuse me with another assignment. What if all of this virus, would change not only history but you? This is not a bump along the way, dear ones. The virus is going to be a marker in history where everyone will remember what they were doing and what happened to them. Even the youngest of children will learn it from their parents. What happened to you? They'll say, during the virus, what we did with you to survive during the virus. I'll tell you something, it's in the field, and you'll think it's kind of funny. Already, this virus is going to create fashion changes. In the field, ladies, imagine buying a dress with a matching mask. And when you don't need the mask anymore, there's going to be a button for you to keep it. And it'll hang on you, just in case you need it, even after this is gone. A fashion statement, a remembrance of this time. This is in the field, not just being thought of, but in the works. And there will be so many who will purchase it for fun, and then they'll realize it's a fashion statement. You went through it and you made it. And you'd like to wear that dress. If you never put on the mask, it's still something that will be there and hang there, and people will remember the time of COVID. Let's talk about the time of COVID. What you don't understand is that there also will be celebrations of COVID. And you might say, Kryon, that's not something we can foresee. This is a major time of shift and release. History will show what has happened. And we mentioned that earlier. What will happen now, and to history what had happened, to so much of whether it's your media or whether it's your stores or whether it's your sales, your commercials or whatever, a change due to this time will occur. But the personal change, some of you in the future will look back and say, wow, without COVID, I would never have been released from this and from that. From this company, from this job, from this relationship, from thinking a certain way. Some will say, I got a release of spirit because of this. It sent me into a place of quietness. a place I would never go to, a place that's been known by the Hindus and the monks and the Buddhists for years and years. They've created these places so you could go and be alone and with yourself. Meditative centers, not necessarily what you have in your life or necessarily for your culture, and you were forced into that spot where you started thinking about you. Your birthright is joy. Your birthright is happiness. Your birthright is being peaceful with your life, even in a busy society. And those who have received that will stand up and say, I never knew it was possible to be busy like this and yet so peaceful with everything that's occurring. It's a knowledge that goes beyond logic. A peace, they say, that passes understanding. A phrase you've heard before that means you really don't have the reason to be peaceful. That would be 3D. But oh, you do. It's an indication, a cognizing of who you are. The relationship that you have with the Creator, a child of God. So no matter what is assailing that which you call frustration, normalcy, whatever, you're still sleeping at night. Because every morning you can say, I will get through this and this or something better. And you're right. As time goes on, you will look backwards, and many of you, as I said, will say, because of COVID, I escaped. Because of COVID, there was a release. And it goes so deeply, dear ones. It's a release of the mud and the mire and the tar that you walk through called old energy, a realization of things you didn't have before. The release of inappropriate things in your life, alliances, friendships, partnerships that shouldn't be there because of your magnificence, because you've moved past them. Let me take you to a time, it's in the field, 2102, 100 years, and give a little more. 2102, 100 years and a little more. There will be a celebration. There may even be a holiday, honoring those who, they say, died in this particular time. But to you and your family, and perhaps your heritage, it might be a celebration. A special kind of food will be prepared. Don't laugh. It'll probably be the food that you had to eat during COVID. There'll be a lot of frozen dinners. And you'll put on a mask just for a moment and take pictures and talk about the day when your family was released or your lineage was released or you found what you found. And it's a celebration. Can you imagine such a thing? Well, I want to tell you, this is in the field because that is what COVID is about. It's a release from the old energy ways that never would have been released without it. They've called it a reboot, which is, of course, a technical term which means come to zero and start over. And the coming to zero and starting over means that all of the old ways, the trainings, the habits, the ways of being, the paradigms, go away. And you come at the puzzle fresh and clean, with no encumbrances of what was there to keep you from changing. That is the release. That is the main thing that COVID has given you. Oh, Kryon, I can go there, but I cannot ignore those who died. There can't be a release when you think about the passing in advance, perhaps, of when they would have gone, of the elderly, of those who are missed so greatly, the sadness that was there. You don't understand. You don't understand. Oh, if I could put them together right now in this room for you, all those who've passed right now in this room, they would yell and they would cheer and they would laugh and they would throw confetti and blow up balloons and say to you, it isn't what you think, it isn't what you think, it isn't what you think. The only sadness is those who've left. There is no sadness for passing into the arms of God where you belong, where you meet the family again. You don't understand. That's a release. It's a different way of thinking indeed. It is a mature way, understanding way, knowingness inside that you are never alone and there is no death. All here will come back and continue the lineage of the old soul and the birthright of joy. And so it is.